If you're looking for Magic cards, look no further than Flipside Gaming. They have all the latest Magic singles and product that you need to actually leave the house and battle in Magic the Gathering. And right now, if you would like to save 10% on your orders from Flipside Gaming, use the promo code CGB at checkout. That is promo code CGB. Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today the first big tournament result of the new standard format is in, and we has a winner. So Anthony Devarti took down the SCG Open Indianapolis Standard Tournament with about between, I believe it was 693 players, playing the new standard format with Ravnica Allegiance cards. And what did Anthony play? Anthony played a Golgari deck, very familiar. For example, if we made a certain card down here disappear, you would say this was just Golgari, but it's Golgari with something a little fresh. Hydroid Crassus joins the team. So Hydroid Crassus, a blue, a green, an X. When you cast this, you gain half X life and draw X cards. Round down each time. With this card, you have a huge late game mana sink, card draw engine, life gain against aggro decks, and you also can get it back over and over with Find Finality, or you can find more with Vivien Reid. So it gave the deck exactly what it needed, all off a small blue splash. A little bit of blue mana doing the job. We run a couple Watery Graves, a Drowned Catacomb for Breeding Pool, one island, just to get that Hydroid Crassus to work. We also have some sideboard cards, Negate and Disdainful Stroke lurking over in the sideboard. Anthony Devarti has been competing, from what I've been able to find online, in Kentucky and in like TCG Player and Star City Open type states events in the Richmond, Kentucky area, his hometown. This appears to be his biggest finish to date. I have tournament results for him going back to 2015. So congratulations on breaking through with a big win at a major event to Anthony Devarti. We're going to play some games with this list and figure it out in best of 3 format and talk about some of the cards and card choices as we go. We'll do some quick hitters on the sideboard of what I believe the sideboarded cards are for. I would use Duress in pretty much any matchup that involved blue, even against Drakes. I think that taking a dive down from their hand, although not the most exciting play, is something that you need to do, because if your expensive removal cards like Vivien Reid, Chupacabra, and Vraska's Contempt don't work, then you basically can't win. So Duress needs to be able to hit dive down and spell pierce at the right time, so I would sideboard them in against any other blue deck, of course. Control mages do despise this card. I would also bring in probably 2, some number, against mid-range decks that use the cards Vivien Reid and Find Finality, particularly if they run multiple copies of Find Finality. Jund Chain Whirler or Jund Death Whirler seems to be one of those decks. Also, certain Bant decks that use March of the Multitudes and other big endgame cards. You probably want a couple Duress, not all 4, but a couple. Just because if you can resolve Find Finalities, but your opponent doesn't get the opportunity, it's a pretty big game. Disdainful Stroke can come in against anything that is using 4 mana or greater spells. Sounds simple, I know, but I would definitely bring it in for control decks, anything that plays Teferi. For green decks, anything that plays Vivien Reid or red, or, you know, like Skargan Hellkite, Nullhide Ferox, monsters type strategies that are very hard to deal with when on the battlefield. And I would not bring it in against, of course, any low to the ground red decks, white aggro decks, things of that nature, where being on the battlefield is important. Negate plays a very similar role. You can bring it in against red, and you sort of have to decide when that's important, such as hitting Experimental Frenzy, or the burn heavy lists is countering a key burn spell worth 2 mana. It's probably better than Midnight Reaper, and there aren't that many things to bring in against red, which, by the way, you may want 1 or 2 copies of Duress against red for similar reasons. I'm still trying to figure out the package against red, because there isn't much you want to take out. The main deck is reasonably strong. The main things you don't want against red are Carnage Tyrant and Midnight Reaper. When you get those 4 out of your deck, what you bring in is typically some Duress, some Negates. But moving on along, Cry of the Canarium. I would not board this in against red. They're not the most creature heavy deck anymore, so I actually wouldn't bring this in there. I'd bring this in against any aristocrat builds, which seem few and far between right now in the meta, and I would also bring them in against white aggressive decks, which are still very threatening in the meta. So Cry of the Canarium, you're here to take out Adanto Vanguard and friends. Crushing Canopy is a card that you're going to want to bring in against any decks that run Wilderness Reclamation, so you can destroy that enchantment, and against anything that does all the flying stuff. The Mirror with Hydroid Crassus, do you want this card? Probably not. There aren't that many flyers, and you can kill the actual Crassus itself in a variety of ways. However, against red-green like monsters where you can take down a Skargan Hellkite, against the Drake deck, this is an excellent piece of technology, and it's good against anything that will try to get you with Niv Mizzet as well. Vraska's Contempt, similarly, control strategies for the most part. Any mid-range to control type decks, anything with Planeswalkers, this is where you want it. Not necessarily against red, as it is a very expensive removal spell. The 2 life doesn't make up for taking 2 hits from that creature before you cast the Contempt. Try to think of it that way. Eldest Reborn comes in for anything using Niv, giant monsters, or anything that would leave a Planeswalker unprotected on the battlefield. So I wouldn't bring this in for the Mirror because there's always some Merfolk Branchwalkers and stuff over there to sacrifice. This is probably against any kind of tap-out decks and other control decks. And then the Tendershoot Dryad is an interesting one. I think that it is there, maybe because they could not get an ooze, a biogenic ooze at the last second. Maybe Anthony couldn't find one. But the Tendershoot Dryad, I would sub in for the Carnage Tyrants in matchups where speed matters more than size, but I would only bring them in against decks that aren't going to have a lot of early spot removal. I wouldn't want it anywhere where this thing can get shocked, Moment of Craved, or countered. So that leaves like white and green decks is where I might turn white and green decks that are trying to beat you quickly is where I would turn Carnage Tyrant into a Tendershoot Dryad, or maybe not beat you quickly, but beat you wide, like token, white aggro, go wide strategies is where I would sub a Tendershoot Dryad for a Carnage Tyrant. You may also, in a control matchup, want another threat that you can bring in and take out like a removal spell, like a Cast Down or a Chupacabra. You already have a lot to substitute against control, so I'm not convinced that's necessary, but it is an option. All right. That talks about Sideboard. If you want to see a best of 1 list, I might do a video later talking about doing a list with this deck for best of 1. I have some ideas there. But for now, let's go out and play some games. All right, this opener has Llanowar Elves, some Explorer, and Vivian. Looks perfectly fine. Our opponent goes to 6. So here we go. Can't wait to see what they've got for us. Here's a Swamp, so maybe a mid-range Mirror. I think that we, in this case, just want a turn 2 Jadelight Ranger and to get right to work. So I'll pay 2 life for that. Carnage Tyrant. I don't have the land for it. I'm going to graveyard it for now and plan to get it back with a find later. And there's the land. And it looks like we got some Grixis on the slow bus right now, taking their time. So let's send in for the damage. Play out another Branchwalker. Keep digging. I can graveyard this elf. They're really the best on turn 1, aren't they? So our opponent knows about this land, but I still want to get the tapped land out of the way. And this land is always tapped no matter what, so that's the one I'm going to play. There's the Cry of the Canarium. Ouch. So I think it's important to keep pressure on the battlefield as much as I want to do this later. We have Memorial to Follies to get it back. So I'm just playing it out there for 2, drawing 1 card, gaining 1 life, and keeping pressure on the battlefield. Nicole Bolas the Ravager. Interesting. So I could discard other Vivian or other Memorial to Folly. This is actually a pretty tough choice because other Memorial to Folly can represent another Hydroid Crassus or a Carnage Tyrant. But other Vivian can definitely find similar cards. I'm going with the Folly because it does take a lot of mana to use, and it's kind of a shame that I drew this untapped land off the top. But I knew I wanted to play Vivian this turn. And she can take Bolas down. This is nothing, she says of the mighty Bolas. The smack talk. The nerve. How frustrating. And then we lose that Vivian Reed anyway, whereas keeping Memorial to Folly would have been immune to Thought Erasure. Interesting how choices can stockpile in a game of Magic. I'm curious if you in comments think that's a misplay or bad luck.
No one knows the wilds like I do.
Let's take the Jade Light Ranger. A little bit more power there. We can play both of these this turn. Let's attack with the Crassus. The opponent knows about the Ranger, so I'll lead with that. They may have a counter spell for it. No? A Branch Walker. I don't think I want a Branch Walker at this stage. I do want to find. That's pretty awesome. And then here's the Midnight Reaper. Opponent may counter this if they have one. Okay, then we'll see what happens. Represents plenty of card draw if they do find removal. And there is the Ritual Soot. But they know how bad that is. We get to draw 3 cards, and we get to find those cards back. Pretty gross. Not to mention Vivian Reed is still doing work, and the opponent's going to scoop that up. So they have a Grixis deck with Bolas and some sweepers. They're definitely going to shift to more of a controlling style. We're going to want to stay aggressive, I think. But I don't think that Wild Growth Walker is going to be a key in the matchup, nor do I think Llanowar Elves is really what we're looking for, because it will get swept up by Cry of the Canarium and Ritual of Soot. So this is a matchup where Disdainful Stroke, Negate, Duress, I feel like all these are players. Vraska's Contempt. Crushing Canopy maybe because of Search for Azcanta and Eldest Reborn. There's also Bolas to consider, and Niv. And we can cut the Llanowar Elves, the Seeker Squire, the Wild Growth Walker. And it's unclear that Cast Down will have targets, so I think that can go. But I like the rest of the cards. And let's do battle. Unbelievable. No green mana, but we're going to have to try it. There is green mana. 4 lands, not ideal. We don't have 2 green for a Jade Light Ranger in case we draw one, which is frustrating. We also have a tough choice here. I want Negate and Disdainful Stroke open, but on the draw, Thought Erasure will get there anyway. I still think that I lead on the Swamp. That gives me the option of playing Cemetery or Drowned Catacomb next turn in case we draw, say, a Merfolk Branch Walker. It means I have to let the Folly enter tapped later. So let's get Negate available. Campaign? No thank you. I'd rather not. Fake news. Say no to fake news. All right. We still need double green. I think it's a good time to get a Memorial to Folly out of the way. Nope. Suddenly, we are the counter deck. Although we haven't seen counters from our opponent yet. Chupacabra. This is tough because I want to be able to draw a green source and play Vivian Reed, so I have to play the Cemetery here, though I'd rather play a tap Memorial to Folly. And is it Bolas again? It is Karn. How frustrating.
I am Karn. How convenient. An excellent choice.
I'll give you the Shock Land. Make you pay some life if you want that untapped. There is a green. We did it. Now we can get Vivian down.
A balance comes.
Well, I could grab another land to make sure I play Carnage Tyrant next turn. I am expecting some Eldest Reborn type effect, though. The other option is to grab a Jade Light Ranger. I guess if Carnage Tyrant goes to the graveyard, I have Memorial to Folly to recover it. Tough choices. I think I'd better take the Ranger. Just having something to start doing a little bit of pressure seems good. So let's see if the opponent has Vraska's Contempt, something for Vivian Reed.
Are you certain of your decision?
Thief of Sanity or search for his Kanta. I guess I have to present the Thief of Sanity. Well, let's see. Search for his Kanta. There's only 2 cards. Yeah, I don't want to get behind, so I'll give my opponent Search for his Kanta for now if they want to spend mana playing it. There's the Eldest Reborn. Down goes Vivian. Maybe that does mean Carnage Tyrant's in a better place. Oh, wow. That's a good draw. Let's do it again, kids.
Sometimes restoration means retribution.
See if the opponent's ready with more Eldest Reborn. I would love to draw one of those myself. Although I'm not going to complain about ripping Vivian off the top for that spot.
Your patience is rewarded.
Okay, the minus gets Thief of Sanity, so curious if the opponent is going to set that up. Here we go. Is there an answer, though, to this Vivian Reed? The search for his Kanta with 2 mana open implies a negate, which Chupacabra goes around. Let's see what we can get here.
The wilds are my shield.
So, land is totally fine. We can play Jade Light Ranger and Chupacabra. I want to make sure that this Chupacabra does its work before I play the Jade Light Ranger. You would hate to get blindsided here by a dive down and have Thief of Sandy take the card we leave on top with the Jade Light Ranger. So I got to make sure I have all the green I need. I do. All right. Down with the Thief. And here comes the Jade. Midnight Reaper. Is that a keep here when we're getting beaten down by a Karn? If I put it in the graveyard, I might be able to get it back later. It can be a lot of cards, though. The question is the opponent going to kill my creatures this turn, and Midnight Reaper just hangs out in my hand forever and ever? I actually think I can graveyard this. I want to get a spell. I want to dig my way. I want my draw steps to have a shot to be like Eldest Reborn, Vraska's Contempt. And something to deal with this. Search for his Kanta before it gets going. Although Vivian's minus is about to be an option. You're at 5. It's getting scary, that's for sure.
You may regret that choice.
A land and a cast down. You can certainly have this land. Cry of the Canarium. There go the critters. So Iskanta is on the verge of flipping. I'm not going to hit a creature that can deal with it with Vivian Reed if I plus. So how important is that card when it flips? It can almost certainly find a way to kill Vivian Reed. But if Vivian Reed isn't on the battlefield, an Eldest Reborn, well, we would have seen an Eldest Reborn, so our opponent doesn't have one. They would need to draw one. I was going to say an Eldest Reborn can kill the Carnage Tyrant. But yeah, I think my plan is to get rid of this and make them deal with the Tyrant. I hate it. I really don't like losing Vivian this way.
Get that out of here.
But that's, yep, we gotta say get that out of here. Chemister's Insight, probably a good card they need to get a lot of looks at that Eldest Reborn. And we play the Breeding Pool because I believe they saw it off the Explorer. That's a lot of cards. It's an interesting sound effect. 2 to the top, 1 to the bottom. Probably not a good sign. Oh, the suspense.
The choices we make reveal who we are.
Yeah. Guess I'll offer you up some vents. I don't think it matters. I couldn't come up with a reason why it mattered. Alright, ignore the Karn or slam the Karn? Think I ignore the Karn. Make him deal. That Hydroid Crassus is a very big draw. So we'll play this for 7. Not expecting it to necessarily live, but the cards are needed. Yep, here comes your removal spell for the day. And there's that Eldest Reborn. Down goes Carney T. Think I can re-slam it, though. But this game's looking more and more lost.
I'll make use of that later.
Lot Erasure. Sure. Bolus. Not good. Not good. Alright. So, get back Crassus or get back Carney T. I love Carney T, but this Bolus is about to flip and wreck me. I think that's going to happen no matter what, so maybe it has to be the Chupacabra's exiled by the Cry of the Canarium. Yeah, game is lost. There's no question about that. I think I'm going to go on to game 3 before showing any more of my tactics. Once the Bolus flips, it can take basically whatever great card we leave, whether it's Vivian Reed or whatever. And I don't mind the deck. I still don't see Wildgrowth Walker like doing a lot. I didn't see anything for Cast Down or Cry. Yeah, I'm still pretty... I think this is the configuration I have to use. I have to not mulligan a 7-land hand. And I have to have removals for the cards at the right time. Having my own Eldest Reborns would be sweet. This will do. The Karn was definitely a bit of a breaker there as well. Let's get this into play tapped. We still haven't seen, I don't think I've seen counter magic from my opponent in any way. So we have to play a land. I want to be able to counter a Thought Erasure, so we'll play that untapped. Planning to play this, we had to play a green source. Playing the tap Memorial to Folly wouldn't let us cast Jade Light Ranger next turn. We didn't have to do that, but I'm sure Thought Erasure would take negate if it was even remotely a useful card in the situation. Alright, I have enough land. So I think I'll get out Midnight Reaper. My opponent, well, Jade Light Ranger with 3 toughness can play around Cry of the Canarium. But I guess if they have that and my opponent wants to spend it just on the Midnight Reaper, so be it. It's kind of tough. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go with the Jade Light. Will we get to the land? We would have to draw 1 land and a couple cards, and we have another Crassus, but we also already have a Tyrant. But slamming Tyrant into Tyrant is really strong. I'm going to... Alright, let's go for it. Let's go for the plan of slamming Tyrant into Tyrant. So next turn Reaper, turn after that Crassus. Hopefully turn after that Tyrant and Tyrant. There's a cry. So we got that out of the way. Hopefully that frees up the Midnight Reaper to at least get a card somehow. We haven't seen red mana yet, but it could be slow rolled. They don't need it early. We've really only seen Bolas. Here's Search. And, ooh, missing land drop. Think our opponent just blinked. Let's get in there. Play this land, play this for 3. Because we really need to hit our next land drop. So let's give ourselves every shot at it. Not to mention just clocking the opponent, having pressure on the board. Right now, if they kill something, the Reaper draws a card. Here is Hostage Taker. That's a good one against Hydroid Crassus, as many have learned. However, when we exile this Hostage Taker, we will get to draw a card from the Midnight Reaper because the Hydroid Crassus enters the battlefield and then goes to the graveyard. So I think we definitely do that, not let the opponent play our Hydroid Crassus. It's too bad to have to use a Contempt, but you can't be sad about having the answer when we need it. That's not a land, though. Ooh, we're both missing some land drops at key times. The opponent would be pretty buried behind a Carnage Tyrant. Although it's not clear if we'd want to Carnage Tyrant or remove that Hostage Taker. That would be a big decision point. Bolas is here. Merfolk Branchwalker gives me another look, but I still think it's the right discard, or probably the other Reaper. It doesn't seem like I should need another Reaper. What I need is the land, and there it is. So, boom, roar. Let's go. The opponent's not in a good spot for an Eldest Reborn. We can sacrifice Reaper and draw a card. Bolas wants to race. Bold. Bold move, Bolas. The plan must be then to kill the Midnight Reaper. Oh, it's a Bolas swing scoop. Maybe the opponent didn't mean for that play. We're on the play with an elf and some Explorer Dorks. I think that's just what you always want to do. Having a removal spell gives me that extra fuzzy feeling that I'm not going to get completely run over by a Swiftblade Vindicator with 10 auras. I don't know. Something wild. Simic Gilgate? Okay. Let's get Merfolk Branchwalker down and see what we see. It is a land. Well, let's play the tap land, though. So this, we can have the option to pay life to have next turn. It's not double green. So we do have a potential issue arising there, and it is Gates. We're up against Gates. Oh my, oh my. So, yep, mana issues are definitely starting to occur. Let's go ahead and send over some pain. I have to expect that the Gate card, Gates Ablaze, is going to sweep us in the near future. So having a Reaper down to draw cards from that sweeper is a good strategy. We do have double green with Llanowar Elves. Okay, there we go. Now we can play Vivian, which is pretty clutch against the Gate deck. So let's do that. There's potential Negate or Disdainful Stroke. I've seen Negate in the Gate deck.
My newest friend.
All right. More aggressive Dorks. They'll find land just fine. And, well, is it time to set the Gates ablaze? Plaza of Harmony gains 3 life if you have some gates on the battlefield. Wow. Bolas. Okay. I think I'll drop off this Branchwalker. The Jade Lights are... Well, actually, I may have trouble casting the Jade Light and the Branchwalker next turn. So I'm going to drop off Jade Light Ranger. That way I can put even more creatures on the field if, say, I draw a Black Source. So, kill the Bolas.
Draw and fire.
I'm keeping this because of the large gate monsters, like the Ram and the Colossus. Cast Down can tag those. Alright, let's go with Jade Light. Wildgrowth Walker appears, but it's not what I want in this spot right now. Even in either case. Let's play another one. It's a lot into a sweeper, but I'd still have Vivian and I'd draw a ton of cards. Our opponent saw this, so we'll play it. And it definitely presents a huge clock that the opponent must deal with. One big creature won't help them. So what's it gonna do? It must be an epic turn from the gate deck. Joda. What madness is this? So, if we attack and the opponent blocks, I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's not lethal. So we have to kill the Joda. I don't want to show Vraska's Contempt. Our opponent has already. Let's see. They've seen the Vivian, so I'm going to use the Vivian to do the job. My opponent doesn't need to know how many Vraska's Contempts I run before they make their sideboarding decisions. And that's the beating. Let's try a second game. What do we do against Gates? Well, a few key cards are Guild Summit. We saw Nicole Bolas the Ravager, which is pretty weird. And Joda. So maybe Cast Down isn't where I want to be, but Disdainful Stroke and Negate probably are. Duress, I think, is probably big against the Gate deck. It feels like Eldest Reborn could be good if they run big creatures, but I'm not sure. Crushing Canopy can definitely come in, as it can hit Guild Summit or Nicole Bolas. Cast Down can go out. Is that enough? Like, is Chupacabra really what we want? Maybe I can trim a Chupacabra. I don't know. It seems like their big effects are sweepers, which would make Carnage Tyrant a lot worse. Not to mention their creatures are bigger than Carnage Tyrant, which makes it a pretty big, dumb, slow dinosaur. But Chupacabra eating their gate-type creatures if they run them seems good. 4 more cards. Am I a Wild Growth Walker thing? I think I am. It can just put me out of Gates Ablaze range. But maybe Llanowar Elves come out, as those simply get swept up by Gates Ablaze, and I'd rather turn 1 Duress now instead of Llanowar Elf. Maybe not necessarily. But you have to figure there are sweepers. And now without Carnage Tyrant, I do think the Llanowar Elf trim makes sense. We don't want to rely on Llanowar Elves if it's going to get swept up. So, all right, let's roll. Well, we are on the play with a 1-lander. So no, we will not. This hand is also not good. I don't think this hand can get there. So, mulligan again. Okay. I think it's better than the other ones we saw because at least we have our land and this can find us more land. And maybe we curve into a Vivian or something and a good thing happens. Yep, you can go to the bottom. Wrong time. Wrong time. I love that card, but it's the wrong time. All right. Branchy, help me. We're down to nothing but land, and it's really early for that. Oh. Whew. All right. All right. I think you're going to see a man get wrecked by Gates. Hey, that's a draw, though. Now, our opponent knows about this folly, but I'd still rather get my blue mana established. Do I want more branch walkers? I mean, no, I need stronger stuff than this. But we got to get through those lands. If those lands are there, we have to make our way through them. There isn't really a choice. We need to draw the power. Is that a gate too? That's just a land. A guild mage is formed for a multicolor card. Maybe this is some kind of Gates meets multicolor stuff. Anyway, more land. Doing it. Living the dream. All the land in the world. Pause for reflection. Fog. Nexus of Gates? So we'll play the folly, they know about it, and it enters the battlefield tapped. Rupture Spire. Yeah, this is a unique little 5-color pile. think from here, so we haven't seen sweepers out of our opponent. I'm trying to decide if I should play this out or not, but I don't see like a better way for the game to go. Also, I'm not too worried about life total, so I'll play the land that they know about. I should have left the blue open just to make them think. Now I kind of give away I don't have a counter. Here's the root. Gonna be a lot of mana in all of the colors. Regardless, we'll probably learn things about our opponent's deck. Find Finality again. Still only one creature in the graveyard. Down to 7. Potentially lethal. We'll play this tapped. And I think I'm going to leave the option to use Memorial to Folly to get the Branchwalker to represent a lethal attack. If that's what it comes to. If our opponent's sitting on Fog, let's at least make them use it. Golden Demise. Well, now we can get Jade Light Ranger instead, which, that's fine. It's not the worst. Thief of Sanity. Interesting. Well, how much does that change things? I might have to use a Finality here. Thief of Sanity. Anyway, I definitely don't need all these lands. Let's get Jade Light Ranger. How important is removing the thief? I would say I may as well do it and make a giant Wild Growth Walker. Let's attack first and see if we get a point of damage through. The opponent calls the bluff, as they probably should. Well, now that they've done that, my Wild Growth Walker will die in the Finality. It's a good play around. So now I think I'm going on the Explore train and hoping my opponent whiffs pretty hard. So let's keep in mind that anything we put on top is getting taken potentially by the thief. All right. Let's rock and roll then. This was definitely a misplayed turn. Yeah, I have to graveyard you, don't I? It's tragic. And you. There's a land. All right. Now we'll see what happens. But I definitely should have done that first if I thought about the block. I didn't actually think my opponent would block. I thought they'd be too conservative, although there's not that much to play around if they know the deck. So that was a silly assumption. I think we all know, if you watch the channel, that I make mistakes. 2 lands. Let's hope your last card is also a land, hey? Please? One time? So what does the opponent have? It could be literally anything. They're playing a wild 5-color build. Chupacabra is what they found. And it is my Chupacabra. The good news is if we sweep the board now, we might be able to get a Chupacabra back. All right. So, let's send in the troops, get some damage. I think we'll be able to keep a Jade Light Ranger unless the opponent chumps the Jade Light Ranger. They might have a good read on this Finality. Playing around Syncopate, counter, there's no reason to not play a tap land. Let's go for this. Ground that thief. Play the land tapped. Say go. Still trying to steal a game where I would say my draw wasn't good and I misplayed. A game I certainly don't deserve. Joda is here. We have not seen the payoff for the Joda. We don't know what the Joda does. It feels like there must be some wild omniscience thing. Also, our opponent didn't use the Guild Mage's Forum. Maybe a mistake. I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. Here comes Jade Light Ranger. Is there a removal spell? There's a Root Snare, so Fog. All right, let's try the other Jade Light Ranger. See if we can get a good draw lined up. Is Seeker Squire that draw? Seems like a very mopey card. I do, however, want my Ranger big enough to survive a Golden Demise, so I'm going to do the on top and then in the graveyard trick to get it to a 4/3. Play our tap land, continue to say go, continue to hope Hydroid Crassus is right around the corner, and I don't mean for the opponent, I mean for me. Joda's coming in hot. What do you do with that Wooburg? What can you play? This is your time, opponent. This is your time, Grumpy. This is your time to do something epic. We're all here for it. All right. Blowing up your own Joda was not what I had in mind, but it does work. Duress. Might be a turn late. Oath of Teferi and a Hydroid Crassus. Oh no! This game is about to get ugly. We're going to have to top deck our own Hydroid Crassus, I think. Are you joking?
I can no longer stand by. No time for a break.
That's a really good top deck. Can we match it? Can we match it? Sorta. No, not really. Oh, man.
Hurry!
Well, I don't want to concede. It is an opportunity to learn about my opponent's deck. But, oh man, am I feeling bad. I certainly threw this one myself, so I have that at least to look to. This was in my control to some extent. Let's see what happens with Vivian Reed. Kill it.
No one said restoration was painless.
All right, Viv. Can you carry me? Teferi might minus you, but that would be fine. Then the Teferi ultimate's a little ways further away.
We need to move quickly.
But the opponent's already back up to 6 cards. God, Teferi, doing so much work. Darigas! Dear God.
I'll be back, just like before.
Dear Lord. Well, there's a hostage taker. I'm just going to hold back. This game is over. But maybe we'll see more cards. Maybe we'll learn something for sideboarding or for the next game. Wilderness Reclamation, Chromatic Lantern. This is a magical Christmas land kind of deck, but you can't underestimate these kind of decks. They always have a huge, powerful endgame. Tells me we should definitely be the beatdown. I see Star of Extinction, Fog, Golden Demise. But I don't know if our opponent plays that many sweepers. Like, should I bring Llanowar Elf back? I think I'm going to hold on to this and try to get it in on like the last possible turn. Our opponent's going to ultimate Teferi. I don't think they can kill me next turn. They might. They might have like a fireball or something. Yeah, let's just play it. Get more information on the hand. All right. Fortunately, that didn't get us much.
Keep Keep up the pace.
Teferi, relentless. No interest in an ultimate here. No reason not to draw more cards. Okay, take 7, down to 9. Still no hostage taker to make it a 1-turn clock. Okay. Vraska's Contempt. Well, who knows? If the opponent doesn't prioritize killing me, maybe we'll rip a way to remove Darigaz. Down to 4. The lands continue, and the opponent still... We still have this information about what they have in hand. Okay, so let's gain some life and try to put a removal spell on top of our deck for the dragon. That doesn't do it. That won't help. And I hate that we had to show it, but maybe this game isn't the lost cause I thought it was. The hostage taker is going to be a beating. We still need to rip a way that actually removes Darigaz. As Kanta. Unreal. Just everything. The whole kitchen sink in this deck. Down to 3. Hostage taker taking Wild Growth Walker, maybe? Or probably the Wild Growth Walker, as it has the highest upside. Whoa. Alright. I guess that makes it so we must have instant speed removal. Oh, Gates Ablaze. Sure. So now we have seen Gates Ablaze. We did not rip the removal spell. Too bad. Let's see if the opponent wants to show us more of their deck using Search for Iskanta. Or if they just want to swing and win. This is the part where that showboating can get you, but it looks like they have chosen to swing and win. Alright, one more game. We did see Gates Ablaze. The opponent gives himself a nice. Alright. Alright. Yeah, the sweepers are there. The Eldest Reborns and the Contempts can come in now that I've seen a bit more of what's going on. Hostage Taker is obnoxious. I wonder if I even want a Chupacabra. We saw the Thief of Sanity, so we need something. I wonder if we need Cast Down for that. Do I still want to be a Wild Growth Walker deck? Or do I go like full control against this pile? It's interesting because I feel like I can control it. It feels like such a 5-color cards I own that I can outgrind it with the right draw. I definitely can't be, you know, just run over by a Thief of Sanity, though. There just weren't that many targets, but if the Thief of Sanity is the kind of card that can put me away, and the Hostage Taker is a really good target. So I think I'm cutting that stuff and going the control route with Eldest Reborn and Hydroid Crassus being the heavy hitters. All right. Let's try it. I'm going to be an answer deck. I'm going to be the answer deck against the 5-color Mania. Could be a big positioning mistake. All right, I'll keep. Here come Gates. Cast Down is there for when that Thief of Sanity might make an appearance. Chupacabra's there. Let's lead out Jade Light Ranger. And land and land. Neither of it blue, interestingly. Rupture Spire, pay 1. Our opponent getting all set up. And we kind of, we made that choice. It's one of the awkward things about the situation. Play the Midnight Reaper. I don't think the life total is going to be a big deal, so I'll play this tapped because our opponent knows about it. They don't know about this Watery Grave, and I don't have a blue card at this moment anyway. Here comes the root. All right. Let's get in there. Still going to hold on to the removal spells, play out lands my opponent doesn't know about. Although I could send a message and try to buy some time. I'll pay 2 life for a blue source, for example, and then my opponent plays around counter magic. And that might get me some more hits in with my creatures. It's a bluff, and the opponent would have to be, pretty good player to pick up on it. But it is a really obvious one if they try. So if they play around counter magic and play something that is like less ideal, like a creature to block or something instead of a sweeper, and we take it out, that gets us more damage through. A little bit of the mind games. Here's Bolus, okay? I think that the answer here is definitely a Chupacabra, as having another creature on the field to go with the Midnight Reaper. Seems pretty darn good. We drew the Canopy, but I've seen Iskanta. I think it's still Chupacabra. Another creature to put pressure on and draw a card from Midnight Reaper is what I'm looking for. So we'll play this first. Leave the blue untapped, yep. Just in case the opponent wants to be careful and play around it. Down goes Bolus. Swings with the critters. Down to 8. River's Rebuke. Sure. I will return those to my hand. Buys a little bit of time. We're on 6 mana, so we can go back to Reaper and Ranger. Let's see what we show the opponent with the Jade Light Ranger. That I will keep on top. Then you can join the team again, and we'll play this land tapped. Not a lethal threat, but very close. Hear those creepy breeding pool noises. A pool in which things breed, you could say. Germs. Yeah. Weird. Manual taps. What is happening? What is coming? Must be something that draws cards, which would make the mana important, but we'll wait. We'll see. It will have to happen eventually. Oh, it's Joda. I see. We're setting up so we can play something with the trigger right away. What will it be? Is it another Star of Extinction, perhaps? Are you ready? I'm ready. What will Joda play? Karn's Temporal Sundering. What's happening? What is happening? This is the part where you're like, you're going over like, is there an infinite combo that will kill me? Tender Shoot Dryad. Okay. Thief of Sanity. Okay. Attack you for 4. Well, the City's Blessing's already established, so nothing too terrible about letting the token in. 8 mana. Few ways to use it. We can't remove everything. The Thief is a priority. Joda is scary, but there's already all this mana that can cast virtually anything, so leaving it isn't a terrible idea. So we're going to leave Joda. We're going to kill the Dryad and the Thief. We're going to kill the Dryad and the Thief. If we attack, the opponent will block with their token, most likely. If I kill the Tender Shoot in response, I get the token as well. And what is the right card to use on... We definitely want to use the Cast Down this turn. I think the other card that we want to use is the Chupacabra to put a body on the battlefield. So, the play is Chupacabra, take out the Thief, attack with Midnight Reaper. If the opponent blocks with the token, cast down the Tender Shoot Dryad. All right. All right, just as planned. Token goes back to a 1/1, so we got the token as well with our sequencing. And now it's up to Joda to save the world. As Kanta returns, they know about the Vivian Reed in hand, so that's got to be a moment of sadness. Joda keeps attacking. So aggressive. He's a plucky one. Okay, 8 mana. I'd love to keep Negate available. There's a chance I should attack, not remove Joda. Play Vivian Reed. Use that to kill Azcanta. No. How many cards in the graveyard? 5. Oh, it doesn't flip yet. So we can kill Joda on my opponent's turn. Play Vivian Reed. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Let's just hold everything up. Let's just hold everything up. Let's wait for the Azcanta to trigger and then take down the Joda before the opponent draws their card and can use the ability. The Star of Extinction and Golden Demise are 2 cards I'm thinking about to bail our opponent out. Okay. Now that that part is done, we can... Let's go with Crushing Canopy, because we still have Vivian Reed to take out the Azcanta. Let's go with Crushing Canopy, destroy target creature with flying, take Joda down. Draw. Shalai, okay. Good game. Agreed. Now it doesn't matter if we show some cards, as this is the final game of the match. And we'll try to show some class with the Stevens attack. Respect for the 5-color absolute just pile of insanity. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. If you'd like to see more games with this deck in the future, or a best of one list, please go ahead and say so in comments. Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, remember to hit the like button. Consider subscribing for more regular videos dealing with top place finishing decks and new decks and all kinds of meta stuff from MTGA, Magic the Gathering Arena. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next video. My YouTube channel is proudly supported by HauntedFlower.com, shipping officially licensed apparel anywhere in the world, and now featuring Magic the Gathering apparel and accessories. If you use the promo code CGB at your checkout, you can save 10% on any order. That's the promo code CGB at checkout on hauntedflower.com. That's hauntedflower.com.